There's a fruit sitting right now in the kitchens of millions of American seniors. It looks harmless, even healthy. But for men over 60, this so-called friend of the heart is quietly stripping away testosterone, clogging circulation, and draining the very spark that makes a man feel alive. What was praised for decades as nourishment may in fact be one of the most silent thieves of male vitality, stealing away strength, energy, and intimacy with every bite. I am Dr. Jonathan Prescott. For more than 30 years, I've stood alongside men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, helping them restore their health, their confidence, and the dignity of their manhood. I've treated mechanics and teachers, truck drivers, and veterans. And again, I've seen the difference between decline and renewal hinge on the smallest choices, especially the food we place on our plates each day. Here is the paradox no one tells you. Not all fruits are safe. While some fruits shield circulation and awaken testosterone, others quietly do the opposite. They raise estrogen, spike blood sugar, and suffocate nitric oxide, the very molecule that powers a strong erection. What you thought was building health may actually be tearing it down. That's why in this session I will reveal the truth. 4 fruits men over 60 should never touch again because they quietly sabotage hormones, and 4 fruits you must add instead because they restore blood flow, lift energy, and bring back confidence in the bedroom naturally. And I urge you, stay with me until the end because the last fruit has helped men reverse years of decline in mere weeks, giving back strength and vitality they thought were gone forever. Before we dive in, I ask you to take one small action. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss what could be the most important health guidance of your later years. And if this message already stirs something inside you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your honesty helps me serve you better. And now let me make a heartfelt request. Press that like button right now. When you do, I wish you 3 blessings. First, may your mornings return with strength and clarity. Second, may your relationships grow warmer, steadier, and more alive. And third, may your later years be not a quiet fading, but a bold chapter of energy and presence. Gentlemen, every bite matters, every choice counts. And today, we begin uncovering the truth about the fruits that either build your manhood or slowly erase it. When most men think of grapes, they picture health. A small bowl on the table, a glass of grape juice, even a nightly sip of red wine. For decades, the grape has carried a reputation of being good for the heart. But for men over 60, this little fruit can become a silent trap, draining testosterone, fueling estrogen, and slowly softening the very foundation of manhood. Here's the truth I've seen again and again in my clinic. Grapes are among the most pesticide-heavy fruits grown in America. Unless you're buying certified organic, every handful comes with a chemical cocktail. And many of those chemicals are xenoestrogens, synthetic compounds that mimic estrogen inside the body. Think about that for a moment. A man in his 60s is already fighting the natural drop in testosterone. Add in a daily flood of fake estrogen, and you have a recipe for fading drive, creeping belly fat, an enlarging prostate, and mornings that are no longer the same. The damage is quiet, almost invisible, until one day it feels as though vitality has slipped away. I'll never forget Harold, a 67-year-old retired machinist. He ate grapes every single day, a habit he thought was protecting his heart. Yet he sat in my office, puzzled by his fading energy, a thicker waistline, and intimacy that had grown unreliable. The culprit wasn't hidden in some exotic diagnosis. It was in the bowl on his kitchen counter. When we removed grapes from his daily diet and replaced them with fruits that actually support testosterone, change came quickly. Within weeks, Harold noticed his mornings were firmer, his energy steadier, and his confidence returning. And it's not just the pesticides. Grapes are also loaded with simple sugars. That makes grape juice even worse. A glass of juice is essentially a concentrated bomb, sugar and pesticide residue in one shot. Blood sugar spikes, insulin surges, and testosterone falls further behind. What a man could shrug off in his 30s hits much harder in his 60s. At this age, every hormonal shift counts. Every bit of circulation matters. I'm not saying grapes are evil. They are not. But for older men, they carry risks far greater than most realize. If you absolutely must enjoy them, choose organic, eat sparingly, and never rely on grape juice as a healthy habit. This is the hidden trap of grapes. They look innocent. They taste sweet. But beneath the surface, they can chip away at the very hormones that keep you strong, vital, and connected. And if you think grapes are the only fruit that wears a mask of health, wait until you hear what's next. Because the next fruit isn't hiding in vineyards, it's sitting on kitchen counters all across America, often peeled and eaten first thing every morning. Bananas are one of the first fruits we ever learn to eat. They are soft, portable, inexpensive, and stacked high in every grocery store. For many men over 60, grabbing a banana in the morning has become almost automatic, part of a daily ritual that feels safe, even smart. But what I've witnessed in decades of practice is this: bananas can quietly drain energy, blunt emotions, and weaken intimacy in ways most older men never suspect. Why? Let's start with the sugar. A ripe banana is loaded with fast-digesting carbohydrates. The sweetness that tastes so good sends sugar rushing into the bloodstream, and insulin spikes almost immediately. Here's the problem: when insulin rises, testosterone falls. Day after day, those spikes push a man closer to insulin resistance, belly fat, sluggish metabolism, and weaker erections. It's a slow decline, but over time it adds up. But sugar isn't the only issue. Bananas also contain tryptophan, an amino acid that boosts serotonin. In balance, serotonin calms the mind. But in excess, especially in the morning, it can leave a man feeling flat, foggy, and tired. That sense of drive, of presence, that spark of intimacy, it quietly dulls when serotonin floods at the wrong time. I remember George, a 68-year-old retired welder. He ate 2 bananas every morning with his cereal, believing it was the heart-healthy choice. Yet by mid-morning, he felt drained, unfocused, and disconnected. His wife told him he seemed distant, and intimacy had nearly vanished. When I suggested removing bananas for a month and replacing them with low-sugar, testosterone-supportive fruits, George was doubtful. But within weeks, the difference was obvious. His mornings grew sharper, his energy steadier, and with a smile he told me, "Doctor, my wife noticed too." That's the hidden truth of aging. Foods that feel harmless in our 30s can tip the scales against us in our 60s and 70s. Bananas are not poison, but they are not harmless either. For older men, the quick sugar and serotonin load can be the difference between a morning of vitality and a morning of fatigue. If you enjoy bananas, I urge moderation. Save them as an occasional treat, not a daily habit. And whenever possible, reach for fruits that fuel testosterone, protect blood flow, and sharpen your mind instead. The lesson here is simple: what nourished you as a young man may betray you as an older one. Bananas may give quick sweetness, but too often they leave behind a long, slow decline in the very strength that defines manhood. And if you thought bananas were surprising, brace yourself, because the next fruit is even more deceptive. Neatly packaged, sold in cheerful little cups, it has become a senior snack across America. Yet inside those containers hides a sweet trap that quietly robs men of energy, clarity, and vitality. I cannot tell you how many times I've walked into a patient's home, opened the refrigerator, and found neat stacks of fruit cups lined up like soldiers. The labels say no sugar added or packed in light syrup, and for many older men, they've become part of the daily routine. A quick snack with morning medication, something soft and easy to chew, something that feels innocent. But after more than 30 years of practice, I can tell you plainly, those little cups are quietly robbing men of strength, clarity, and manhood. Here's the problem. The fruit inside a can or cup is not the fruit nature intended. It has been peeled, softened, bleached, preserved, stripped of its natural fiber and swimming in liquid sugar. Even the versions labeled in natural juice hit the bloodstream like a sugar bomb. That spike in blood sugar isn't harmless. It surges insulin, crashes testosterone, inflames arteries, and weakens blood flow. And when circulation weakens, erections fade. I think of Frank, a 72-year-old veteran who came to me exhausted and discouraged. For over a decade, he had eaten fruit cocktails nearly every morning, believing they were a healthy choice. But he couldn't understand why his energy was gone, why his mind felt foggy, why his marriage had grown distant. When we uncovered his daily habit, the answer was obvious. We replaced those cups with fresh, low-sugar fruits that actually support male hormones. Slowly, his clarity returned. His mornings grew brighter, and intimacy, which he thought was gone forever, began to come back. The tragedy is how deceptive these fruit cups are. Marketing convinces seniors that they are safe, even nourishing. But convenience always comes at a cost. Every spoonful of syrup-soaked fruit is quietly raising blood sugar, lowering testosterone, and pushing circulation toward decline. Even the so-called no-sugar-added options are misleading. The fruit inside is still processed, stripped, and altered. What you're really eating is a chemical-laden snack wearing a cheerful disguise. The older you get, the less forgiving your body becomes. At 60 or 70, every sugar spike leaves a mark. It doesn't just sap your energy for the moment, it chips away at your vitality day after day, year after year. And the cruelest part, the damage feels silent. You don't notice it happening until one day you wake up weaker, heavier, and more disconnected than you ever imagined. That's why I tell my patients, skip the fruit cups. Choose real fruit, choose nature over packaging. It may be less convenient, but it could be the difference between decline and renewal. And if you thought canned fruit was the worst offender, you haven't heard the half of it. Because the next fruit isn't processed or packaged. It's fresh, it's everywhere, and most seniors reach for it without hesitation every morning. Yet behind its cheerful yellow peel lies a quiet thief of energy and drive. When most men reach for dried fruits, they do it with the best of intentions. A handful of raisins instead of cookies, a couple of dates instead of a slice of cake. It feels like a smarter choice, natural, guilt-free, even nourishing. I've heard it in my office countless times. Doctor, I gave up candy, now I snack on dried fruits instead. But here is the painful truth. For men over 60, dried fruits are not the safe alternative you've been led to believe. In fact, they may be one of the most deceptive foods you can put into your body. Why? The danger begins with concentration. Drying removes water but leaves all the sugar behind, dense and compact. That means one small handful of raisins or dates can deliver more sugar than a can of soda. And without the water or much fiber to slow absorption, that sugar rushes straight into your bloodstream. Insulin spikes, testosterone falls, belly fat grows, and erections become less reliable. But sugar isn't the only hidden enemy. Many commercial dried fruits are coated in vegetable oils to prevent sticking and treated with sulfites to preserve color. These additives may look harmless, but they interfere with the absorption of zinc, the mineral most essential for testosterone production and sperm health. Without zinc, testosterone falters, vitality fades, and the quiet theft of manhood continues. I think of Martin, a 70-year-old grandfather who proudly told me he had replaced desserts with a nightly bowl of dates. He was convinced he had made a healthy change, yet he struggled with restless sleep, low energy, and fading intimacy. The dates were the culprit. That concentrated sugar kept his blood sugar elevated all night, disrupting growth hormone release and preventing testosterone from rebounding during sleep. When we replaced the dried fruits with fresh, low-sugar options, the turnaround was remarkable. His mornings grew sharper, his rest deeper, and his confidence stronger. That's the mask of dried fruits. Marketed as natural, they hide as sugar bombs in disguise. And for men in their 60s or 70s, those bombs hit harder than ever. What seems like a healthier indulgence quietly inflames arteries, suppresses hormones, and chips away at the very strength that defines a man. So the next time you reach for a handful of raisins or dried apricots, pause. Ask yourself, is this really better than candy or just candy in disguise? Because while dried fruits taste sweet in the moment, the long-term cost is bitter. And now that we've exposed the fruits that sabotage your vitality, it's time to flip the story. Because there are also fruits simple, natural, overlooked that do the exact opposite. The first one is no ordinary fruit. It's been called the king of circulation, and once you understand why, you'll see how it can restore energy and intimacy even after 60. Before we turn to the fruits that restore strength and circulation, let me pause and honor something more important, you, the men who watch, listen, and write to me. Over the past weeks, I've received letters and comments from across America, from small towns to big cities. And I promised I would bring some of your voices into these sessions. Because this channel isn't a lecture hall, it's a community of men who refuse to fade quietly. Question 1, Dr. Prescott. I eat red grapes every day, but only organic. Am I still at risk? A fair question. Organic grapes are safer because they carry far fewer pesticides, meaning less exposure to xenoestrogens. But the sugar load remains, so while organic is better, moderation still matters. A small portion occasionally is fine, but daily handfuls, even organic, can still spike blood sugar and weaken testosterone over time. Question 2, I've eaten 2 bananas every morning for 40 years. Are you saying I wasted my life? Not at all. Bananas are not poison. They simply become less friendly as the body ages. What you tolerated at 40 is not what your body can handle at 70. Think of it like this, the same engine that ran smoothly when new now needs cleaner fuel and gentler handling. The past is not wasted, but the future depends on wiser choices. Question 3, Doctor, be honest. Do you just hate fruit? You sound like the enemy of the produce aisle. I smile at this one. No, I do not hate fruit. In fact, I love it. But I love truth more, and the truth is simple. Some fruits protect aging men, others betray them. My mission is not to demonize, but to distinguish so you can choose wisely. Question 4. If I stop eating grapes, bananas, canned fruit, and dried fruit, what do I replace them with for breakfast? Excellent and practical. The answer is the very fruits we're about to discuss: pomegranate, kiwi, watermelon, blueberries. Pair them with protein, eggs, nuts, or yogurt, and you'll find mornings sharper, energy steadier, and hormones supported. Question 5, Doctor, can fruit alone really fix a failing sex life after 70? No single food can perform miracles, but fruit is part of the foundation. The testosterone, nitric oxide, and circulation respond to daily choices. Combine the right foods with movement, proper sleep, and a calm mind, and you'll be amazed at what your body still remembers how to do. Gentlemen, I read your comments, I value your honesty, and I encourage you to keep writing. This conversation isn't mine alone, it belongs to all of us. So before we move forward, type in the comments what fruit has been your daily habit. Was it grapes, bananas, or something else? I promise to read them. And now let's move into the brighter half of our journey. Because just as some fruits quietly sabotage, others quietly restore. And the first of these is no ordinary fruit. It has been called the king of circulation. If I could place just one fruit into the daily routine of every man over 60, it would be the pomegranate. At first glance, it looks inconvenient. Thick skin, messy seeds, not nearly as simple as peeling a banana. But inside lies one of nature's most powerful allies for male vitality. Over 3 decades, I've watched men walk into my office drained, discouraged, convinced that age had taken their strength. and I've watched them return weeks later with clearer eyes. Steadier energy and mornings they thought were gone, all after adding pomegranate to their diet. The secret is in its compounds called punicalagins, antioxidants that target oxidative stress and repair the delicate lining of blood vessels. For older men, circulation is everything. Erections do not happen without open, flexible arteries, and arteries do not stay healthy without nitric oxide. Pomegranate has been shown to boost nitric oxide levels, the very signal that tells blood vessels to relax and deliver oxygen-rich blood where it's needed most, to the heart, the brain, and yes, the parts of a man that define his confidence. I remember Robert, a 69-year-old retired teacher. He relied on medication for performance, but the side effects left him dizzy and discouraged. He was hesitant when I suggested something as simple as half a cup of pomegranate seeds each morning, or a small glass of pure juice with no added sugar. 30 days later, he returned with a grin he hadn't worn in years. His mornings were firmer, his stamina steadier, and his wife had noticed too. Clinical research confirms what I see in practice. Men who consumed pomegranate juice daily showed measurable improvement in erectile function and even an increase in testosterone. This isn't a gimmick. Biology, a fruit working with your body to restore what time has worn down. The beauty of pomegranate is that it works gently. No pills forcing your body, no side effects robbing you of energy. Just a natural food aligning with your physiology. Even the taste, tart, rich, refreshing, becomes a reminder that small daily choices create big change. I tell my patients, don't dismiss pomegranate because it looks inconvenient. Every spoonful of seeds, every sip of pure juice is an act of repair, a step toward healthier arteries and stronger manhood. If grapes quietly steal testosterone, pomegranate quietly gives it back. But pomegranate is just the beginning. Because while it opens up your circulation, the next fruit acts like a shield, protecting testosterone and calming the stress hormone that so often crushes drive in older men. It's small, fuzzy, and often ignored on the grocery shelf. Yet inside, it carries the power to guard vitality well into your later years. Kiwi is a fruit that most men walk past without a second thought. Small, fuzzy, tucked away on the grocery shelf, it rarely competes with apples, bananas, or oranges. Yet inside this humble fruit lies a powerhouse of protection for older men, a shield for testosterone, and a steady hand against the stress hormones that steal vitality. The magic begins with vitamin C. One kiwi can contain more vitamin C than an orange. And vitamin C is not just about colds. It defends the Leydig cells in the testes, the very cells responsible for producing testosterone. As men age, these cells come under constant attack from oxidative stress. Weakened cells mean weakened testosterone. But when fortified, they continue to do their job, helping a man stay stronger, sharper, and more present. Kiwi also offers another overlooked advantage, an enzyme called actinidin. This enzyme improves protein digestion and nutrient absorption. Why does that matter? Because as digestion slows with age, even a healthy diet may not deliver enough zinc or magnesium, two minerals essential for erections and hormonal balance. Kiwi ensures those nutrients actually reach the bloodstream where they can fuel vitality. I think of Charles, a 65-year-old accountant who told me he lived with constant restlessness. He couldn't sleep soundly, carried tension in his chest, and admitted his relationship had grown strained. I suggested something deceptively simple, 2 kiwis daily. Weeks later, he returned looking lighter and calmer. He slept through the night, felt less stress, and quietly told me his marriage felt alive again. The reason? Kiwi helped lower his cortisol, the stress hormone that directly competes with testosterone. When cortisol falls, testosterone rises. This fruit is easy to add. Slice it, scoop it, blend it, or even eat the skin for extra fiber and antioxidants. However you choose, the benefits remain: protection for testosterone, calmer nerves, improved absorption, and better rest. For a man in his 60s or 70s, those are not small advantages, they are lifelines. Kiwi proves that sometimes the overlooked fruit holds the greatest value. It doesn't scream for attention, but it quietly defends the very systems that keep a man vibrant. For men over 60, every edge counts. And Kiwi is a simple, powerful edge you can claim today. But as valuable as Kiwi is, the next fruit works in a completely different way. Instead of calming, it energizes. Instead of shielding, it activates the very molecule that fuels blood flow. Some even call it nature's version of the little blue pill. And once you see why, you may never look at this summer fruit the same way again. A few fruits carry the nostalgia of watermelon. For many men, it brings back summer afternoons, family cookouts, and the carefree joy of youth, sweet, refreshing, and innocent on the surface. But here's what most men over 60 never realize: watermelon is more than a treat. It is one of the most powerful natural allies for circulation and intimacy. The secret lies in an amino acid called L-citrulline. Once inside your body, it converts into L-arginine and then into nitric oxide, the very molecule that tells blood vessels to relax and open. Strong erections depend on healthy circulation, and healthy circulation depends on nitric oxide. Where pills try to force blood flow artificially, watermelon encourages it naturally, safely, and without side effects. I recall Leonard, a 70-year-old retiree who had tried medications for performance but was left with pounding headaches and a racing heart. Frustrated, he wanted something natural. I told him to eat generous servings of fresh watermelon daily, ideally on an empty stomach, and even to blend a little of the white rind into smoothies. Within weeks, he returned laughing, telling me, "Doctor, my mornings are stronger, and my wife is happier than she's been in years." That white rind is worth noting. It holds the highest concentration of L-citrulline, yet most men throw it away. Blending it with the red flesh creates a tonic that supports circulation like nothing else. Store-bought watermelon juice, on the other hand, won't deliver. Most brands are stripped of the rind and laced with added sugar, turning nature's Viagra into nothing more than flavored sugar water. Beyond nitric oxide, watermelon offers hydration. Men over 60 often underestimate dehydration. Even mild fluid loss makes blood thicker, circulation slower, and energy fade. Watermelon, being more than 90% water, hydrates while delivering nutrients in every bite. What makes watermelon so powerful isn't just the immediate boost. When eaten consistently, it builds lasting vascular health. It strengthens the very system that supports heart, brain, and manhood. It reminds us that even after 60, the body still knows how to respond when given the right tools. This fruit proves something simple yet profound: you don't always need complicated regimens or expensive solutions. Sometimes the most ordinary foods, eaten with purpose, hold extraordinary healing power. But as impressive as watermelon is, there's one more fruit I urge every man to know. It doesn't just open blood vessels. It shields testosterone, sharpens the mind, and stabilizes energy. Small, dark, and often overlooked, it carries the quiet strength to protect a man's vitality for decades to come. Blueberries may look small, but they carry a quiet power most men over 60 never fully appreciate. In decades of treating older men, I've seen the most remarkable transformations not from exotic supplements or expensive regimens, but from simple, consistent habits. And one of the most effective has been a daily handful of blueberries. The secret lies in anthocyanins, the compounds that give blueberries their deep blue color. These antioxidants protect against oxidative stress, the silent force that wears down blood vessels, nerves, and the very cells that produce testosterone. Think of it this way: every day sparks of damage ignite inside the body. If left unchecked, those sparks grow into flames that erode vitality. Blueberries step in as the cleanup crew, extinguishing the sparks before they spread. I remember Edward, a 71-year-old former coach who came to me worried about brain fog. He'd always been sharp, but suddenly names slipped, focus waned, and he felt disconnected. I suggested he begin each morning with half a cup of fresh blueberries. At first, he doubted something so small could matter, but 2 months later he returned smiling. "Doctor," he said, "my mind woke up again, and my wife says I'm more present than I've been in years." That is the hidden strength of this fruit. It works quietly, steadily, rebuilding confidence not just in the body but in the mind. And beyond protecting memory, blueberries help stabilize blood sugar. Spikes and crashes in blood sugar weaken testosterone and drain energy. Blueberries, with their low sugar and high fiber, smooth out those swings, keeping hormones balanced and energy steady. Improved insulin sensitivity means testosterone is better preserved. The result: stronger mornings, leaner waistlines, steadier moods. Over time, these small benefits build into a foundation of vitality. What I love about blueberries is their simplicity. Sprinkle them into oatmeal, mix with yogurt, blend into a smoothie, or just eat them by the handful. Unlike so many superfoods that require preparation or cost a fortune, blueberries fit effortlessly into daily life, and yet their impact is profound. Gentlemen, don't underestimate these small berries. They are not decoration. They are armor, protecting testosterone, guarding circulation, sharpening the mind, and fueling steady strength. For men in their 60s and 70s, that protection may be the difference between decline and renewal. And now that we've uncovered both sides, the fruits that quietly sabotage and the fruits that restore, it's time to bring it all together. Because the real transformation doesn't come from knowledge alone, but from putting it into practice every single day. Gentlemen, let's step back and bring this journey into focus. If you're a man over 60, the fruits you place on your table are no longer just about taste or convenience. They are about hormones, circulation, energy, and confidence, the very foundations of manhood. We've uncovered the quiet saboteurs: grapes, canned fruit cocktails, bananas, and dried fruits. They look harmless, even healthy, but they quietly drain testosterone, inflame arteries, and weaken the strength that once came so naturally. And we've met their opposites, the allies you can lean on: pomegranate, kiwi, watermelon, and blueberries. These are not just snacks. They are tools of repair, opening blood vessels, guarding testosterone, calming stress, sharpening memory. I've seen men who believed decline was their destiny discover renewal within weeks simply by making these changes. One man told me his energy came back when he replaced dried fruits with pomegranate and blueberries. Another found restful sleep and steadier moods once kiwi became part of his evenings. And yes, more than one has laughed and said watermelon gave them a stamina they thought belonged only to younger men. These are not empty claims. They are living proof that age does not mean surrender. So here is my challenge to you: look at your fruit bowl. Remove what harms. Add what heals. Be consistent, be patient, and let your body remember what it was designed to do, because decline is not inevitable. Renewal is possible if you choose it. Before we close, I ask for one more step. Press that like button right now, not just as support for this channel, but as a small declaration for yourself. With that click, I wish you 3 blessings. May your mornings rise with strength, may your relationships deepen with warmth, and may your later years be marked not by fading, but by resilience, confidence, and joy. Subscribe if you haven't already, share this message with a brother or a friend who needs it, and leave a comment below. Tell me your story, your struggles, your victories. I read them, and together we will continue this journey. Gentlemen, your best years are not behind you. They are waiting ahead. And with the right choices, one bite at a time, you can claim them.